This is the Wait For It podcast.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Wait For It podcast. I am your co-host Phil Barrera, aka Phil the Filipino.
And I'm your other co-host, Mr. Eric Almighty. And for this edition of Late to the Party, in the year of 2025, the sequel to this film is coming out. So we're going back just a couple of years to the original movie, which DreamWorks released, and it's not Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. It is in fact The Bad Guys.
All right, what is that? 25 seconds in, take a shot. Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. We got it out of the way.
I broke a record, I believe. That's what I was going for.
That is a record. Until we eventually just turn this into a Puss in Boots: The Last Wish podcast, which we will call. What will we call it? Damn, I thought I could maybe think of it right away of what it would be called. Just The Last Wish? The Last Wish podcast? Oh, Team Friendship. Duh.
Team Friendship,
it would be called Team or the Perrito podcast.
Did we ever do a Puss in Boots episode? No, right? No.
What would we possibly do it under?
Yeah, I think we're gonna have to just create a series for that. Anyway,
just create an episode of the Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. We're gonna can What Did I Miss one month, and we're gonna just rewatch Puss in Boots: The Last Wish.
I think that would be a hell of a call. But listen, we are here to talk about another great DreamWorks film that I think is honestly, Phil, for Late to the Party. If people know about it, they understand why we're late to the party. But also, I feel like some people haven't watched this, and it might be slept on. So excited to jump into this.
Yeah, when you think about DreamWorks animation, you kind of wonder, all right, where is this going to fall? Is it going to fall more on the side of like a Boss Baby or Turbo? What an obscure film to throw out.
Is that the snail?
Or it is the snail that's in like a Formula One racer. or is it more Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, Shrek, How to Train Your Dragon? And I was pleasantly surprised when I checked this out. So we are going to be talking about the 2022 animated film, The Bad Guys, which is based off a book of the exact same name. So very excited to jump into this one. So if it seems like a little bit of a fish out of water when it comes to some of the other movies that are on this list for Late to the Party, sure it is. But I think it's also about, the series is definitely about, bringing more attention to maybe films that didn't necessarily get them, even though numbers wise, Eric, when it comes to box office and reception, pretty solid. So let's jump into it here. The Bad Guys, directed by Pierre Pirifel. I did not look that up before we started. I apologize. This was his cinematic directing debut, if I remember correctly. The synopsis states, when the bad guys, a crew of criminal animals, are finally caught after years of heists and being the world's most wanted villains, Mr. Wolf brokers a deal to save them all from prison. So, Eric, you saw this way before I did when it first came out. Did you see this in theaters, or was this a stream watch for you and your family?
Yeah, so this was a stream watch for us. Not a movie that I initially had watched in 2022. And that was kind of, again, to go back to Puss in Boots, that was kind of the thing with us, right? Like, we weren't actively watching some of these movies because we weren't really sure what DreamWorks was going to be cooking up. And little did we know, they were cooking. They were cooking with gas. So they are, from an animation standpoint, doing pretty fantastic. When you consider The Last Wish, you consider The Bad Guys, and then most recently, here in the past 12 months, The Wild Robot. I mean, man, absolutely killing it in this particular department. And for that reason, it makes me very excited for the sequel, which I definitely will be seeing in theaters. If I had a chance to go back in time, I probably would have checked this out when it released. I just remember, obviously it got a sequel, so it did pretty well, but I just don't remember very much talk about it, honestly. And that's why I think I missed it that first original run.
Yeah, and it has a really, really stacked cast as well. Sam Rockwell, Marc Maron, who I love, Awkwafina, 2022 Awkwafina, like people were just starting to kind of like waver on her. So when I heard her voice, I was like, oh shit. It wasn't as jarring as when I heard it in The Little Mermaid, which immediately made me stop watching. So this was fine. Craig Ramos, Anthony Ramos, Craig Ramos, I combined two people. Craig Robinson and Anthony Ramos, Zazie Beetz, big fans of a lot of them. So when it comes to cast, it has your standard big time Hollywood names. And those performances are reflected in these characters. I definitely want to get into a discussion a little bit later, Eric, as why you think this maybe doesn't necessarily live within the zeitgeist of like the DreamWorks opening credit scene. Right now we see, who do you see in that thing? Like Shrek, Puss in Boots, How to Train Your Dragon. Are they?
Yeah.
Oh, good for them. Look at that. That's the thing. I didn't even know. I didn't even notice that they were included within that. But also Boss Baby is in it, isn't it?
Did they have that opening in the Bad Guys without them? Is that why?
No.
Or was that the original one? Because I know that was fairly new, I believe.
Okay. Yeah, so they're in there, and I don't even recognize that they're in there. I like to have a discussion about why I think that is, but when it comes to performances, animation, this thing holds up very well. I mean, it's obviously influenced heavily by Into the Spider-Verse, which almost everything is now, and that's a very, very good thing, back in 2022. And also in something I just recently watched in K-pop Demon Slayer, or Demon Hunters. So what, Into the Spider-Verse has done for animation is going to be long-lasting for years and years, which is great as we continue to see other studios lap Disney, which we have talked about in length here on this podcast. So yeah, Eric, what was y'all's, you and your family's initial reaction when you saw this a couple years ago? When you take a flyer on an animated movie, you're like, man, is this going to be just an over-the-top, like, just directly aimed at kids, or will they mix in some stuff for the for the parents? What was your reaction when the film ended?
Yeah, I think for me, it's going to be weird to bring up a whole nother property in my spiel of like why I really enjoyed this movie, but I think it's pretty fitting. This movie badly invigorated my need for a Sly Cooper movie. Like, this is exactly the way I would love a fucking Sly Cooper movie to look, to feel, to sound. And when it comes to the bad guys, obviously, you've got the gang of criminals, you've got the heist situations, like you've got all that type of stuff going on here. It's very similar in that aspect. I did like the banter and the camaraderie between these characters. I don't think this story-wise reinvented the wheel very much. I just think everything was elevated from good. And I think that's a great place to be with a story like this. And again, it made me really fond of the idea again of going back to like a Sly Cooper property and really bringing that in. And if I couldn't get that, I'm really glad I did get this, because I think it was really, really good. And does it fall short from being great because it does kind of have some paint by the number, story points and story beats? Sure. Are there maybe one too many fart jokes situations or type of comedy things in there? Great. I mean, the main comment on Letterboxd that I read was that DreamWorks realized they almost made a movie that was too good, so they added some fart jokes in there just in case. And that's kind of how I feel about it, but those never really stopped me from enjoying the film, and that's ultimately kind of where I stood when the credits rolled. Do I think there should be a sequel? Well, I'm sure that's a discussion we'll talk about towards the end, but as a film by itself, really, really enjoyed it when the credits rolled.
Yeah, and even that, when we were bringing up like the fart joke, when it does have a story element tied to it, which is at least they put a little bit of effort into that. But yeah, like you said, to go back to talking about the camaraderie between these characters and the chemistry that they have, and I'm sure obviously we know that's very difficult to do already when it comes to animation, but this was done remotely because of the pandemic. So, they didn't even have the ability to, maybe even bond in person like they wanted to as far as this cast. And, the fact that they were able to, tell a cohesive story and bring characters together in a very short amount of time that are brand new, original, well, quote unquote original characters, obviously based on the book, I think is a really, really great, big testament to what they were able to pull off here. One of the inspirations of this is certainly the Ocean's films, Sherlock Holmes, things like that. Pulp Fiction, I saw, was also listed as an inspiration, which I thought was really funny. One person, I think IGN, had stated this was like a mix of, what was it? It was a mix of Little Red Riding Hood and Ocean's films, which kind of nails it pretty well. So yeah, I think the reason it's just so tough to commit to animated films. Like when we saw the trailer for The Wild Robot, I think you automatically know, oh, this is going to be something special. When you see the trailer for How to Train Your Dragon, you're like, okay, this could be really, really special. With this, because it looked pretty paint by the numbers, okay, it's a heist movie for kids. I'll probably skip that one. I think that's why it doesn't necessarily live within the zeitgeist of the other DreamWorks films or even just animated films in general. And also, Eric, the character designs aren't real. Other than the Piranha, which is Anthony Ramos, the character designs are just fine. They're like characters you would find on like a random Saturday or Sunday morning on like Nickelodeon. And I think that's probably another one of the reasons why it doesn't necessarily stand out or hasn't really stood the test of time in terms of characters we think of immediately when you say, hey, what do you think of when you think of DreamWorks?
And you know, that's kind of interesting because when we talk about character designs, you mentioned all those different things that kind of influence this movie. And a lot of those are kind of geared to adults, right? So like, I think it kind of almost appeals, the character designs themselves appeal more to the adults than they do to kids, where like a Zootopia, I think, is the other way around. I think that really does mainly appeal to kids. Although the way some people fiend over, you know, Judy Hopps, that's a story for another day. We're not here to talk about that.
I can't imagine I can't imagine that people don't also feel that way about the fox that Zazie Beetz played.
I mean, maybe to a lesser degree, right?
Yeah.
But, you know, and again, I just think she was cool. Yeah, and all the characters were cool. I think they had a sense of swag and style that really worked. And I think to a kid's eye, maybe not something that stood out as much. The animation, I think, makes up for a lot of that. It's very bombastic at times. It is very easy on the eyes to look at. Very, very action-heavy or fast movement paced at times where you could still kind of follow along. Not like a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles where we talked about the animation there just didn't work for us because it almost felt like we couldn't keep up with what was going on. That you don't have that issue here, and I think those elements of the animation deserve to be praised. But yeah, from a character design standpoint, I could definitely see this being more catered to adults, and maybe, you know, again, that's why when you're looking at like the trailer, especially when you're thinking about bringing a family, it's not a movie that really jumps off the screen for you.
Yeah, it also doesn't have a very memorable villain in terms of design. So, of course, when you talk about death in Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, which is very unfair, you talk about even the design choices that are made in like The Wild Robot. You know, those are all things that we will remember forever. I'm not going to really think about a gerbil, which again, as an adult, it's really one of the most obvious turns. And you know, they went for a Zootopia type of thing here, but it was just very obvious from the beginning. And again, it's a kids movie, so all this just feels so silly to nitpick about. But overall, you know, as far as having, what was his name, Rupert Marmalade was a villain that's fine. So we'll see if they can improve upon that in the second one when they add a whole new list of characters that certainly aren't going to eventually just team up and also be good girls, right? That's not going to happen.
No way. No way. No shot. One thing I'll mention as well, when the movie had initially come out, the one thing I do remember about it was the excessive use in the trailer of Billie Eilish's the bad guy.
Oh my God, that's right. I forgot about that.
And I do actually think subconsciously that made me not want to watch the movie.
Probably.
It was kind of like the use of song was the same way they did stuff like, and I don't remember what song it was, or maybe it was just the fact that it was the same exact trailer. You know that movie Migration that we kept joking we'd see?
I saw it.
It was kind of like that. I will say the marketing must have worked because it got people to the theaters and it did pretty well. And again, to deserve a sequel. But that is the one thing I do kind of remember now that I think back to it, is that Billie Eilish song. And every time I heard it, I was like, fucking turn this off, please.
What was the Migration song? What song did they use too much in Migration?
I don't know. I feel like
This is way better than a Migration. I'll tell you guys that.
I'd never watched
Which isn't
it,
hard.
So shocker. I'll try to see if I can find it. I feel like there was a song, but maybe it wasn't. Maybe I was just making that up. But yeah, I'm going to pull up the one trailer and look at it because I doubt they changed it. So let me see. Let's continue.
Awkwafina is also in Migration. She plays a pigeon. We got to stop giving Awkwafina voice roles, is what I'm saying. I think we've collectively, we can move on from the Awkwafina stage. So until she's an Avenger in in Doomsday.
Maybe, yeah. I think I hear Destiny's Child in this trailer.
Is it like Survivor?
Yeah, it's Survivor.
That's an interesting choice for that
Yeah,
film.
I'm a Survivor. Yeah, that definitely bothered me quite a bit.
Well, we've talked too much about migration.
We did
Here in this episode, so sorry about that, guys. To talk
Argument
more
can be
about,
made, we've talked about too many other movies other than the bad guys, so let's keep it moving.
yeah. So I mean, well, again, there's not really much to say other than it's very good. It's not, excellent in really any particular area, but it does a lot of really good things that are worth your time if you are a parent, or if you just really like the DreamWorks animated movies. You're gonna walk away from this not upset that you took time like I did after I saw Migration. So like you'll feel good that you watched a movie, that's again based off of a book. It's got interesting characters. The performances are good. The animation is not going to make you sick. It's gonna be very familiar. So if you're into all of that, then you're going to have a good time with this. Overall, will I see the second one in theaters? Probably not, but I will watch it once it's available on streaming. Even though, again, we could probably predict the ending for that movie from a mile away. Hopefully there's just a better, I guess the bad girls are the villains. I don't know if there's I don't know. They can only go up from Gerbil.
Yeah, really, you can. And I will be seeing it, but only because it is my son's highly anticipated movie of the year. Other than Elio, it's the one he wanted to see the most this year.
Should show him Ocean's 11 next.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll like that.
Ocean's 11 and the Italian Job.
Maybe. I mean, honestly, man, I'm surprised every single day. So maybe that does happen, but yeah, I'll be seeing it in theaters, so you can always look forward to a review from me on that. As far as the Bad Guys film, I think a good way to wrap everything up before we do our normal, similar or films like this one, game. Why don't we talk about the reception of the film and our scores?
Yeah, really quick, I wanted to ask, how did you feel about them going both, what's the word, anthropomorphic and people? What would you rather them just choose one or the other? I thought it was kind of jarring that there were also people in this world, and why not maybe they were just trying to avoid the full-on Zootopia. That's probably the guess.
I think that's what it is. I think it's got enough Zootopia vibes. I know it's not the same thing, and you can make distinctions, but I would assume that's what it was for. I didn't really care that much. It would have bothered me more if they made the humans, they do what they do in the Godzilla movies. You're here to see Godzilla, and instead we spend 3/4 of the movies with the human characters we don't care about. I didn't really feel that tug of war happening between
really the only
characters.
Human character we focus on is the police officer.
And that's it. Yeah. So
yeah.
I mean, I think for that reason, it's okay. But again, had we had that tug of war that we see in other properties where humans are brought in with whatever, monsters, creatures, animals, whatever, aliens, and they're the center of attention, had that happened, I might have felt different.
Yeah, that's fair. Well, this did very, very well in terms of reception, in terms of box office gross. I believe worldwide it ended up grossing $250 million. In terms of reception on Rotten Tomatoes, 88% certified fresh tomato meter score and a 93% popcorn meter score. So received very, very well. Over on IMDb, 6.8 out of 10. And then on Letterboxd, it has a very, very strong 3.4. And that is also where I landed, Eric, at a 3.5. So basically right there. I think in terms of maybe giving us a more memorable villain, it could teeter on a 4 if they had gotten that right and done that a little bit better. Because even though I'll just bring this up again, K-pop Demon Hunters, it does not reinvent the wheel when it comes to the story, but because there were so many things in there I enjoyed, and I enjoyed the villain, it did bump it up to a 4 for me. It's one of my favorite movies of the year so far. And yeah, I understand. I
gotta watch it. I can't judge it. I'm just that's not what I expected.
I sat there and I was like, I really, really enjoyed that. And a lot of that had to do with music. It's pretty easy. If you give us, specifically catchy music in a movie that we're even moderately enjoying, bump it up, man. Bump it up. So maybe it wasn't Bad Guy from Billie Eilish.
94 tomato, 95 popcorn on Rodden's. I mean,
telling you, man. I think it's got a 3.9 on Letterboxd. So
7.9 on IMDb. That's crazy.
I'm telling you, man.
Almost
I'm
an
telling you,
8?
man, they cooked. They cooked
Wow.
over there. So when you're talking about movies that like they're elevated just a little bit by a villain or a specific performance, that didn't happen here, but it's still very good. 3.5 out of 5 for me.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I would say I'm bumping it up to a 3.5 versus where you're kind of like it's fell short of a 4. And again, that's just because I think for everything that this movie does well, it also has those paint by the number moments. And I got to fault it a little bit for, again, being, I wouldn't say unoriginal, but again, this is what I would have expected. Like I really would have liked from a Sly Cooper movie. And again, I could see other movies doing something very similar with equal or more success. And that's where I judge this film at a 3.5, which is a respectable score. A movie where, again, if it's on, I would absolutely catch myself sitting down to watch it. And I could also understand if people like it a little bit more, because again, I think the character designs really are the style of the movie, the way it's kind of flowing, I think works for those classic heist movies that a lot of people do like. And it's got that swag behind it for adults, but also has the aspects of a kids movies that the target audience, kids, enjoy. Will I see the sequel? Yes, but I'm also very, very scared. So very, very nervous as to what that's going to be. For the original, I put this movie, if we're looking at late to the party list, I put this in the middle of, at a 3.5, right in the middle of Nope and Spirited at the 22 spot. Phil, where did you land?
It is also 22 for me, but it's behind Edge of Tomorrow and right before The Adventures of Tintin. And before Taxi Driver. So if we ever meet like true cinema buffs, we cannot tell them about this list. We cannot tell them.
No, for sure. 100%.
Because I just saw Edgar Wright's list on Twitter of his top 10 films of all time, and Taxi Driver is number 3. So we cannot ever speak to Edgar Wright.
Yeah, because he's a fucking psychopath. Allegedly. If you like Taxi Driver, allegedly. So, yeah, no, I also look like how low I have like Raiders of the Lost Ark, and people like freak out about that too. Like,
yeah, I think I'm gonna rewatch The Menu at some point.
Yeah,
but because I think because here's the thing about The Menu, and also what's the show that The Bear. So there are scenes in The Menu that are like so good, and then the rest of it I'm just like meh. But The Bear, the episode with the episode where what's his name, who's the best character, the guy that's in Fantastic Four. Why am I?
It's
why
gonna
am I
make me.
blanking on him?
It's gonna piss me off. It's gonna piss me off. 1 second.
The Bear cousin. Name.
Crazy.
He's
not even one of the first people that come up on the cast on Google, dude. What is happening?
What's his name?
I got him. Richie.
The episode
God.
where Richie goes to like the Michelin star restaurant it's
one of the best episodes
of television ever made. And every time I see a clip,
Taylor Swift song too, and I fucking love it, dude. I'm like,
and it's like, but I just didn't really enjoy the rest of the show. But he is incredible. And every time I see a clip pop up when I'm scrolling through Reels, I'm like, God, this is so good. But the rest of it just didn't hit that way. So I feel like that's how I feel about The Menu, and I should watch it again. The same way I felt about Nope. Like after I redissecting Nope, I was like, no, I enjoyed that a lot more than I think that I did at first. So. Stuff like this is always changing. It's fluid.
And that's why I always say, like, I always have an asterisk around these scores, because, again, if you haven't seen a movie twice, can you really judge it? But, like, we all can't sit here and watch every single movie at least twice to make a determination. Right. Like, that's just not how real life works.
And also, I'm not going to rewatch Shin Godzilla. I'm not going to rewatch Akira.
Yeah, no,
I'm not going to rewatch Scott Pilgrim because I can't take a time machine and watch in 2005 or 6 or whatever.
That's fair. Would we rewatch The Shining? Maybe we didn't get it. That's the one that always sticks out to me about the 2 movie watch. Like, I won't watch Shin Godzilla either. I might watch like a movie like a Scott Pilgrim again, but like I probably wouldn't want to.
Isn't it also The Shining like 3 hours long? It's like 2.5 hours.
It's pretty long. It's like it's like 2.5 hours long. It's long.
I don't know, man.
Just to see if we would bump it up to like a 2.5. Yeah, 2.5. I forgot how low we had it rated.
Well, I do feel Aman Vellani, or Miss Marvel, has also given this a 3, so I feel somewhat validated.
Yeah, that's not like a 5.
Yeah.
All right, let's do our more like this game. So, On the podcast for Late to the Party specifically, we do more like this, where we look at IMDb and Letterboxd now, and we see films similar to The Bad Guys, and see if Phil has watched them. Would he prefer The Bad Guys or that film? We'll start off light, Phil. You're gonna be. I don't think you're gonna be shocked at some of these, but they're not gonna necessarily all be animated, and that's the case here with the first one. Would you rather watch The Bad Guys or Lift, the movie with Kevin Hart in it?
Lift,
the movie with Kevin Hart that was on Netflix. You gave it a 1.
Kevin Hart. Oh God, that's on here.
Yeah.
Why is that on there?
Like,
because it's a heist.
Yeah, it's like
it's
the
heist.
7th movie.
I hated that movie so much that I totally forgot it existed.
Yeah.
Easily one of the worst movies I've ever seen.
I was
forgot
throwing up an easy one there, and then you let it fall. Would you rather watch The Bad Guys or, and I think this is probably the way to do this, any of the Bad Boys films?
Probably any of the Bad Boys films.
You pick all 4?
Maybe not 3.
Okay.
Probably
Fair
not
enough.
3. Yeah.
Would you watch The Bad Guys or any of the Ant-Man movies?
Probably the Bad Guys. Yeah, the Ant-Man movies aren't very good. And especially the third one, in whatever the hell it's called. Who cares? That movie sucks, dude. God, I saw a clip of that pop up recently, and he's like, but it's never too late to be a dick, Darren. God.
Stupid. Would you rather watch The Bad Guys or The Boss Baby?
I've never seen Boss Baby, and I'm not going to. Isn't it also voiced by Spacey?
I think it's Alec
Spacey.
Baldwin.
Okay, well, I mean, that's only a little better.
Well, I don't know. That's kind of crazy.
Baldwin's got to kill KD.
Stop! He's acquitted. He's acquitted.
It's still a KD. It doesn't matter.
Insane. Would you rather watch... Jesus. Would you rather watch The Bad Guys or Luca?
The Bad Guys.
Would you rather watch The Bad Guys or Zootopia?
Zootopia. Twice.
Would you rather watch The Bad Guys or Onward?
The Bad Guys. The Bad Guys is more fun. Onward's sad.
It's true.
Also, Chris Pratt and Chris Pratt and Tom Holland. Like, yeah, they were fine.
Would you rather watch The Bad Guys or any of the Guardians of the Galaxy films?
Yes, all the Guardians of the Galaxy films.
Would you rather watch The Bad Guys or Detective Pikachu?
Detective Pikachu, but Pokemon holds a special place in my heart.
That's fair. Would you rather watch...
Even though it's got Justice Smith in it.
Would you rather watch The Bad Guys or any of the Sonic movies?
Probably the first two, not that shit last one. Most recent one we got.
That's fair. And there's a lot more we could do. Would you rather watch The Bad Guys or The Suicide Squad?
Which one?
Either.
Probably the newer one. I enjoyed the newer. I know you didn't really like the newer one, but I liked the newer one.
That's fair.
Why are there so many James Gunn movies? Is the bad guy? Did James Gunn work on the Bad Guys?
I don't know. Would you rather watch The Bad Guys or The Italian Job? Have you seen The Italian Job?
I love that. I just mentioned The Italian Job to you a second ago. Just showed it to your son.
Oh. Okay.
The Italian Job.
Would you rather watch? I'm going to give you the last two, which are unfortunately going to be no's. Would you rather watch The Bad Guys or any Fast and the Furious movie?
Yes.
Okay.
All of the Fast. Actually, no. Fast 10 is terrible. Not Fast 10.
And do I have to
all the rest, though, cinematic masterpiece.
And do I have to ask you the last one, which is, would you rather watch The Bad Guys or Puss in Boots: The Last Wish?
Yeah, no, we can keep it rolling.
Yeah. I think that's about the time
Where
for
does
us to
this,
close down the episode.
Where does this rank? So how many movies? Let's list off some of like the top tier DreamWorks movies too before you would pick this, The Bad Guy. So I'm gonna switch it up on you. So
oh god.
Obviously, so we'll start with Shrek. We're not gonna put it above Shrek, right?
No,
you wouldn't do that. No.
No.
Any of the How to Train Your Dragons? I know you're like a little iffy
maybe the
on
last
those.
one. No,
yeah.
I think
Hidden
How to Train
World.
Your Dragon's definitely better. Yeah, maybe the last one.
Yeah, Kung Fu Panda. Like the last two Kung Fu Pandas have been iffy, but you got off to a really good start. Like the first two.
I'd say we're close.
Okay.
Because I don't have Kung Fu Panda as high as some people do.
Yeah.
So I would actually say it's pretty close, but Kung Fu Panda has a slight edge.
Okay. Wild Robot. I think we're pretty even there.
Different
what are some of their other franchises? So this is where I think it kind of it starts to lap some of their. So what about Madagascar? People love Madagascar. Madagascar 3, I will stand by, is one of the funniest animated movies ever made.
Yeah, no,
but
I'd go the bad
Madagascar.
guys.
But see, that's the thing. Madagascar exists within the zeitgeist of the DreamWorks characters where the bad guys does not.
No,
you know
that's
what
true.
I'm saying?
Oh, it definitely has more like
It's got the
headspace for
penguins.
sure. Yeah,
You know, the penguins in Madagascar are a big thing. So this is where I think the realm of the bad guys is. Like when we're talking about the Croods, Megamind, which I've never seen. I've never seen Megamind.
let's not sleep on the Croods now.
The Croods
That first Croods. The first Croods movie's good.
Yeah.
Good. I'd say the bad guys is better. Yeah.
Shark Tale. It's better than Shark Tale, right?
So are you trying to paint the picture that it doesn't have, because it's just one movie and we don't know how the second one's going to perform, it doesn't have the gravitas of the big franchises, but that it's pretty much
trying to
better
make
than
it that
a lot
way,
of
and
those solo ones?
Yes, yeah. Well, there's
you
like
agree
3
with that?
Croods movies, isn't there? Are there 3 Croods now?
I mean, sure, but I wouldn't really count that as like one of their big time franchises. So even if you put all 3 of those movies against the bad guys,
I don't know, because the bad guys also have spin-offs as well, so it has like solo shows, and I think the Croods
and like
also
a Christmas
does
special or something.
Yeah, the Croods also has something like Megamind is a TV show, so
I mean, I guess that's true.
I think
have a sequel.
It just existed because when DreamWorks hits, they hit hard. Monsters vs. Aliens, right? Like we quote that a lot, but it doesn't really exist anywhere other than meme form, like with Bob. We don't know. I don't know anybody else really like that quotes Monsters vs. Aliens like we do, you know. So like it's a better movie than like Rise of the Guardians probably. I've never seen Rise of the Guardians, but
Rise of the Guardians is good. No, you're sleeping on that. You've never seen
Okay.
Rise of the Guardians?
No. I didn't
That's
have anything against it. I do remember that
I'm actually gonna
Santa
put that
was
on,
in the
on Late to the Party. Yeah.
I know that Santa was in the
Also-
Santa bracket.
Also, Alec Baldwin.
Oh shit. But then when we're talking about, but it's not better than the Prince of Egypt or Road to El Dorado,
Oh no,
right?
no.
Like it's not even in the same conversation, you know. But it is in the same conversation as
those are so
some of
weird
those other
too,
ones.
because like, do those really count?
The B
I mean,
movie.
they count.
The B movie is like the most memed movie in history.
It's so mean. It's actually like
and
too
isn't
memed.
even any good other than Patrick Warburton. This bee is ruining my life.
Why is it always on yogurt night?
The faces he makes, he's the only sane person in that movie.
No,
He's the
for sure.
only one.
For sure.
So
I'm gonna
I
start
didn't
pulling
see
up
Home.
random B movie
Did you see Home?
quotes.
Did you watch
No,
Home?
but I think we both know how that went.
Yeah. Turbo. It's got to be better than Turbo. It's got to be better than Flushed
Yeah.
Away, which I'm not going to watch either.
Yeah.
So,
So I mean, it's like upper tier.
yeah.
On,
I think it has a
on
possibility.
The
If this new
staple
one,
franchises, but it's
Yeah.
in the intro, so
if this
they must
new
like
one
it.
is good, if this new one exceeds expectation, like we didn't expect Puss in Boots: The Last Wish to be what it was. If it's like a 4, then we're like, okay, now I think we're cooking now.
Now
So
we're cooking, yeah.
we'll see.
Yeah,
A
we'll
Riot
see.
in the Dark, Trolls.
Yeah.
These are movies that I think it's probably better than.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. I agree.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Right.
we really stretched out this Bad Guys episode, which was great.
Yeah.
We got a lot of talking points in there. And that's what kind of happens when, again, we like a property.
It's not better than Over the Hedge.
Over the Hedge is great, dude. Yeah, no, Over the Hedge.
It's definitely not
slept
better than
on.
Over the Hedge.
Slept
Even though
on
that's
for
Bruce
sure.
Willis, I think.
It is Bruce Willis. It is Bruce
Yeah,
Willis.
it's
Yeah, but I
unfortunate.
added Rise of the Guardians to the list. That would be a fun Christmas late to
Christmas
the party.
one? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you could also do Easter and the Tooth Fairy. No, you could also do Easter. There's an Easter bunny. I thought there were other holidays.
I was like, where is he going to go with this?
I thought there were
think
other
that's it.
holidays, and I was like, oh, that's not how that works.
No.
Yeah.
No,
But
so-
yeah, no, I think that would be a fun Christmas one. Also, kind of slept on. It's
Yeah.
actually, I would put Rise of the
Character
Guardians
designs are-
pretty up there.
Yeah, character designs are pretty top tier, even though I've never seen it. But yeah.
Yeah.
So
I actually think you'd enjoy it. You'd have a good time with it. It's got Hugh Jackman, Chris Pine, Jude Law. The fucking cast for the Rise of the Guardians, crazy.
yeah. So we'll see. But point of the story is The Bad Guys is a good movie. So definitely check it out, and I think it's worth people's time. Unlike some of these other films that have come and gone. Remember the Teenage Kraken? Remember the trailers for that? That movie came and went. So
Yeah. Yeah. Who
So, again,
expected very much out of that?
yeah. what animated movie? Oh, when I saw like How to Train Your Dragon recently, and there's like all these animated films, I'm like, man, we're not going to even know what most of these are in 6 months. So like they're just going to come and go. Yeah. But yeah, anyway, this was a whole lot of fun and worth your time. If you would like to see any of the other movies we have been late to the party for, make sure you check the Linktree link in the show notes of this and every single episode. If you want to support the podcast or follow along, you can do a few things. Head over to social media, the most important ones being Instagram, TikTok, our flourishing Discord community, Twitch, where we are streaming a ton, and we also upload our videos over on YouTube, where you can like, share, subscribe. Head on over to Apple Podcasts and Spotify and leave us a 5-star review, thumbs up, whatever it is. All of that is so incredibly helpful, so we appreciate that as well. But if you find yourself wanting some more from the podcast as we get back into the groove of things here this summer and get some extra perks and also get episodes earlier, Eric will let you know a little bit about that before closing us out.
Yeah, so all of those perks are exclusive to Patreon, whereas a patron of the show, like Briar, T3 Kato, Vintage Macaroni, Corey from The World Is My Burrito, and Nick Casparo, the author of the Vitellarium series, they are getting those extra perks that Phil mentioned, behind the scenes, early access, some bonus content, and more each and every month. With that being said, we know that situation is not always the case for everybody to be able to support us on that platform, so all the free stuff is great as well. Joining our Discord, chatting with us on social media, everything that you do from listening and engaging to these episodes go a long, long way, and we hope that you enjoyed this episode in particular. It was very, very fun, and we can't wait till the next one. With that being said, my name is Mr. Eric Almighty. That is my co-host for The Filipino, and please don't forget we release new episodes for the podcast every Wednesday, and all you gotta do is wait for it.
This is the Wait For It podcast.